Good morning, fellow patriots. It is your favorite Wiccan conservative here. Today, I would like to give you a very special video in which I'm asking for feedback and help from whoever you share this video with. I have an idea for an event that is not a rally, is not a march, and is not a sit-in or a protest. I have an idea of bringing social media people who follow my channel and perhaps other channels together for a conservative meet and greet, somewhere that is a friendly public atmosphere, that is not put on a public circuit or a public spotlight, something that's kind of conserved just to us, and that would give us the opportunity to meet in real life, exchange ideas, and have a little bit of fun for the day. So I envision a picnic type atmosphere where you can bring your family, you can bring your children, you can bring picnic items to kind of share with people at the event, and just kind of wear all of your conservative gear. You can bring your Trump hats, you can bring your American flags, you can bring whatever you feel the movement means to you, and connect in real life with other people who have the same thought processes and the same ideas for you. Now, I have cross-posted this on all my social media sites. If you follow me on Twitter, at J_Newmeyer, it is pinned to the top of my page. If you follow me on Facebook at Georgia Liberty, I have an event that is in a planning stage. It is set up as an event to get a discussion going about it, to get a page going about it, to create some feedback for it, that's open to the public. So you can go ahead onto Georgia Liberty and find the Let's Plan a Conservative Picnic event. And for the next 2 weeks, I'll be taking suggestions and trying to iron out some details. And I also posted it in my Wiccan Conservative discussion page on MeWe. And I don't spend a lot of time on MeWe, but I do try to keep everything cross-posted so that if anything is building steam and not on the mainstream platforms, that I am still reaching out to that crowd as well. So if you haven't seen me over there, I do apologize. But I am paying attention to you guys, and I see you. So feel free to add me on any of those platforms and give me some feedback for what you would like to see come out of a meeting like this. Now, remember, this isn't a rally. This isn't a protest. This isn't a walk or a march or anything to that effect. Right now, I think that the best thing that we can do as a country, and we see it at Trump rallies themselves, is getting people out of the virtual universe and putting them into the real world, and banding together and having ideas. And if it leads to networking and eventually rallies, or eventually marches, or eventually legislation fighters, if you will, because what happened in Virginia was amazing. And I was so awed and shocked by the turnout, and to have the Democrats turn around and, I don't know if you guys have been following, but I'll fill you in. They basically did nothing. I mean, they showed up in the Capitol. They showed that they could all be out and armed and nothing bad was going to happen. But the Democrats decided that, well, that doesn't matter. We're just going to go ahead and file these bills and pass these bills anyways. I think they ended up passing 4 of those extreme background check, extremely restrictive legislative things that they had on the docket and said that they were going to do. So eventually it's going to have to come out of the streets and go into a courtroom. Excuse me. But I do feel that it starts at events like this, because we all keep in contact via social media. I don't think that we realize that there's another person on the other end of the screen. And I personally I feel like I'm getting information out and I'm making a relevant stance, and going to rallies is a good thing. Being involved is a good thing. But at the end of the day, we need to start evolving our process and how we intend to make the change that we want to see. So to kind of dip my toes into the water, if you will, and get involved with becoming more of a physical fighter in the fight for our country. I want to host this event and bring people together where we can network some ideas and get together as a conservative community to decide what our next move could, should, and would be with the rhinos in the party and everything that's going on with the legislative body, the executive body, the impeachment process. I don't know if I should be more concerned that our senators are asking about our legislative documents as if they didn't have a clue, or if I should be encouraged by that. Because if any of you out there watch the impeachment, these men and women, our representatives, are asking very basic, valid questions that I don't think the American citizen knows anymore, but it's very concerning. So we have to live by whatever pieces of legislation they put into order, whatever they sign into law, and we're getting the short end of the stick. We've seen that in Virginia. We see it in our, here in Georgia. We elected Brian Kemp to pass the constitutional carry law. We asked him, to ban the red flag laws, to come out and tell Kelly Loeffler to have a stance on it. And we aren't being heard. So, I think that the biggest motto of this whole thing is united we stand, divided we fall. And a lot of people don't know how to take it off of just expressing their emotions, just getting information around to other people. And it's good that we have the internet to express those emotions and share the information and go around the big circle, if you will. But we need to start taking it to the streets. And obviously the first thing everybody thinks of is taking it to the streets and rally and protest and walk-ins and sit-ins and those sort of events. So why don't we take a step back from all political things and just show each other who we really are? And I was really hoping that I would get some good feedback from this. I do have one co-host to the event. I won't say her name here, but if you go to my social media sites and get back to eventually the Georgia Liberty event page, you'll know who she is. And we've been bouncing ideas off of each other that I really like. I really want to get this sort of collective body together. And I'm not looking for a crazy amount of people. I'm not thinking that, I'm going to get Trump size response to this. I know that it's going to be pretty much organized amongst the people who are local to the southern Georgia, northern Florida type area. But I really just want people to come together and start sharing some ideas amongst each other and some information firsthand, so that we can get to know each other, so that we can start to make the march on changing how the government views our checks and balances. And I hear people all the time talk about, well, you could vote, but it's just not enough. And I agree with you. I preach voting all the time, but voting only goes so far. Even still, you have the opportunity to vote in somebody who's not going to hold their campaign promises up. They're not going to do it. So at that stage of the game, where do we go? I've talked to some people in Virginia and they're feeling trapped. They're feeling like their voices aren't heard. And if you talk to this person, they'll tell you that they voted them in. And if you talk to that person, they tell them, no, they didn't vote them in. So ultimately, at the end of the day, where do we, the people, have recourse for these actions being taken against us, for these laws that are being kind of inflicted upon us, so to speak, even with the unconstitutionality of them. And that's the biggest thing, is we need to come back and let the government know, hey, look, the Constitution wasn't written so that you could write all these laws. The Constitution was written to restrict you from writing all these laws. And you've bypassed it and amended it and twisted it and litigated it in the courts to the point where it's almost unrecognizable. So organizing together as a unit, moving forward, we could plan rallies, we could plan marches, we could plan, anything. If we put our minds to a mission, I think that that's something that we could definitely get done together. And it all starts with coming together in real life. Like I said, I do sit here and I do talk a lot online. I do a lot of social media networking. But there's another step. There's a physical world and there's a virtual world. And I would like the opportunity for everybody to take a step out of the virtual world and step into the real world, and just let's come together. Let's organize a meet and greet for conservatives. Now, like I said, I do encourage everybody to bring, American flags and slogan banners and, your Trump gear and MAGA stuff and all that stuff, because I would like to either live stream or tape or take pictures and promote this type of atmosphere. So be aware that it would be open to the public, but you would also be, potentially photographed, potentially videotaped, unless explicitly, out of the picture. Obviously, if somebody wants to put you in a picture and you refuse, you have the right to refuse. I'm not going to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. But on a general sense, if you want to talk to the camera, if you want to get your message or your story heard, I want to give you that opportunity to do that. And I want us to have an opportunity to get together and do something different that isn't the norm, that doesn't, scream attack, because a lot of the liberal left, they do protest. Their thing is mainly protest. We usually rally, and rallies are good, but as we've seen in Virginia, it's just not taking that extra step. Well, is it because you just convened a bunch of strangers who had no other basis of being together other than they were there for gun rights? And where unity is great and bringing people together is great, there's still that fourth step. You go through, information, spreading information, getting together, and then what? We need to come up with a then what, if you will. And a lot of the rallies and things that happen up north. I can't always get to North Carolina, Virginia, to New Jersey. Where else did I see another one? Oh, DC. I can't, I have a family. We have school. We have work. Me personally, I don't have work. This is my job, but my husband has work. There's extenuating circumstances. And I know that people feel guilty that they can't be involved. They can't be there at the movement. I was devastated I didn't go to Virginia. There's actually a rally today in Raleigh that I would like to be at, but I can't because my husband's at work, my children are at school. There's just certain extenuating circumstances that, people would say, well, what's more important? What's more important? At the end of the day, we all have to support ourselves. And we all have to do what we feel is right. But with that being said, I don't think that counts us out of the equation. I don't think that counts us out of participation. And I'm just trying to bring people on to that and then what stage. We need to get there. We need to get there quickly, not only for the sake of ourselves and our own well-beings, but for the sake of our country on a whole. So I'm begging anybody with any type of idea or, thought process, or even if you know a little bit more about this than I do, please feel free, reach out to me, leave me a comment, leave me a private message, tweet me, go on MeWe, leave a feedback on the discussion page. I know I had one person on MeWe tell me that he doesn't go to those types of events because there's no agenda, or when they get there, the meeting agenda just kind of turns to pot. And I don't want there to be an assumption of an agenda. I don't want there to be a structure per se, anything more than conservatives coming together and meeting other conservative families. Now, we may not agree on everything, and we may have different viewpoints on things. That isn't the point. That I think that's the biggest thing to understand, is it doesn't have to be a gun rally or an anti-this legislation rally or anti-school rally. I think that we all have similar mindsets, and that we practice our everyday lives to a certain extent, where it should be good enough just to come together, have some food, relax. We're looking at different venues. There's the co-host had suggested Tom Brown Park. I was looking into General Coffee Park, just around that sort of area. Like I said, the southern Georgia, northern Florida area. And, I'm not exactly sure. If I get a big response, I don't mind putting up a little fee to rent the pavilion and to rent the space. But if it's going to be a smaller collective, then, I think that we should move to a free space, a free area where we don't have to worry about putting up too much funds, because that isn't what this is about. This isn't going out and showing how much money we can spend. And it isn't even about raising any money. This is literally a friend building exercise, a networking exercise throughout the community, built from true grassroots idea movement. So it's my idea. I pitched it. I tagged somebody else. She's now helping me out. And I encourage everybody who hears this message to do the same. Try to give me as much feedback and throw rocks in my path as well. Tell me what obstacles I'm up against. Excuse me. Tell me how you feel that other people would take this idea and what their negative as well as the positive would be about. Because at the end of the day, we're very well-rounded, intelligent individuals, and we need to know both the pros and the cons. So I look forward to hearing, hopefully I'll hear from you guys and get some feedback as to what you guys would like to see, what you suggest to us. And, that list of venues is very short and small. Those were literally just the two that popped into my head right now. But I've got a whole notebook page full of venues that we're tossing around, and I've been emailing people and kind of reaching out to different venues to see what the restrictions would be with it being a public event, and so on and so forth. So please just think about it. Think about what you would want to get out of a event like this, and get out of the virtual world and get into the real world. And if you have any suggestions or ideas, I'm open to hearing anything and everything. So, all right, guys, that's your mission for today. I know I'm kind of dumping this in your lap all of a sudden, but let's hear what you guys have to say about it. And I'll see you soon.